What's going on, guys? Disorderly Product News. Here we are with an ID refusal in Jerome, Arizona. Channel name, Job Pro. Go on over there and show him some support. He's an Iraq War veteran. In this video, we are going to go over stop and ID states compared to non-stop and ID states, reasonable articulable suspicion, probable cause, IDing, what is required to ID. But let's get into the video first.
There you have provided.
I need a date of birth. Listen.
You asked me to provide ID, I gave it to you.
You can provide me a date of birth.
You can run me off that name.
Babe, no.
You're gonna arrest me right now?
Yes, I am.
Babe, no.
Well, that went 0 to 100 real quick. Now, the officer is arresting him because he only gave his first and his last name. They're in Arizona. This comes from the ACLU in Arizona, third paragraph. You have the right to remain silent. Give your name if you are asked. If you do not want to answer any other questions, tell the officer you are choosing to remain silent. So it looks like the Arizona ACLU says you're only required to give your name. Now, this is from a law firm in Arizona. Here in Arizona, ID requirements under ARS 13-2412 stipulates that by refusing to provide a truthful name when lawfully detained will constitute a Class 2 misdemeanor. Be aware that you are only required to give your name and or ID. Physical ID. So that's two different sources that says to ID in Arizona, you're only required to give your first and last name. This officer is arresting him because he didn't give his birth date.
He's arresting me.
You
I gave him my ID.
For failure to turn around.
Show me
and put your
ID.
hands behind your back.
Show the ID up. I gave my ID. He asked for ID, I gave it to him.
And I just got done telling you.
You asked for
Listen,
ID and I gave it to you.
I also got done telling you that I needed your date of birth in order to properly ID you. That's the way it works. That's the way it is. Whether it's you or anybody else. All right. You're not special. No different than anybody else in this world. Do you understand that?
It's a Nevada case, Heibel versus 6th Judicial District Court of Nevada, US 177, that set precedent for what an ID is, or how do you ID, in a United States Supreme Court case in which the court held that statuses requiring suspects to disclose their names during a police Terry stop did not violate the Fourth Amendment. Their names. That's it. As of February 2011, the Supreme Court has not addressed the validity of requirements that a detainee provide information other than his name. However, some states, such as Arizona, that's where this is at, have specifically codified that a detained person is not required to provide any information aside from their name. So unless it was changed very recently, it seems like IDing in Arizona is only your first and last name.
Very simple request. So you're making kind of a big deal.
You could have been out of here in 5 minutes. All we had to do is identify who we were talking to so that we could.
I do not consent to search. Take your hands out of my
It
pocket.
doesn't matter. You're under arrest right now.
I don't consent to
You
search.
don't have to consent.
But I don't.
Hey,
You don't have
where's
to.
your wallet at? Your other IDs that you did that.
I do not provide anything in addition. I haven't done anything wrong. Don't touch my stuff. Don't touch my items. I do not give permission to search. Do not touch my personal items. Take my items.
Do you not understand what under arrest
Take
means?
my items.
I'm coming.
Take my items. Take my
Nothing
items.
gets changed right now. Stay right there. Would you stand still, please?
I'm a disabled vet. I have medical condition. You can run me off that. You don't need my ID. You can run me off that.
See,
you don't need my birth certificate.
In order to run you, we have to have
You
your
can run
date
me
of
off
birth.
that, believe me.
Really?
Yeah. Here's another
You've been
piece
in
of
law
ID.
enforcement for a long
Here's
time?
another piece of ID for you right there. Flip that.
Thank you. That's
Okay.
what we asked for in the first place.
Let me tell you what. You're not playing with some nobody here. Okay, flip it over. Flip it over. No, not my driver's license. I'm not driving. Take the other one. Take the other one. It'll help you. I'm federally fingerprinted.
There's a military one.
You guys are out of line. I got First Amendment rights, Second Amendment, Fourth Amendment rights. You're out of line. You're out of line.
No.
You're out of line.
Would you stand still, please?
Go over here, please.
And you can grab these guys here so that it doesn't get blown away.
she's fine.
You have a leash for him? Because he looks pretty hot. He's wide. He's saliva. You might want to just let him out. I'll move him off a little bit.
Okay, I will. There's water in a bowl. There's a water. There's. Is he all out?
Yeah, he was
Okay.
out. So we were going to give him some water, but he was growling at us. And
Yeah.
how long is he here? 2 minutes, but it's been a little bit since we actually got here. We've been here for 2 minutes. Yeah, I got the exact time I made the call, and I got a report before that.
No, stay. It's not out of water. She still had some in there.
That would have been 3:39. I have the driving license. You'll get that.
Okay. She still had water in there.
Okay. We got a call. The dog is rested. It wasn't just 1 minute ago. It's been 10 or 15 minutes. We should have found out here to do it up and check.
When I was working around here, I checking out the tools. The dog was in sight the whole time.
I don't know that. We have to investigate, right? If we have to know what we have to do.
I asked the dog wasn't really ill, and then there was nothing wrong with me.
We are still required to write a report.
Right, but I'm not.
So the call was predicated on the fact that there was a dog alone in the car. Now the gentleman who's being arrested says that the dog was in sight at all times. Now the officer just admitted that they saw that the dog was all right. So at that point, there is no crime. There's no crime. But he still wanted to identify him for his report. Now, it may be that department's policy to identify anybody they go and get a call on. But that's policy. That's not law. So it has to be consensual. He's not consenting. Here's the law right here regarding animals in the car. Arizona, ARS 13-2910. Unattended and confined in a motor vehicle and physical injury to or death of the animal is likely to result. Well, he saw the dog was fine, so that can't be the case. So through our investigation, it looks like he didn't break the law. And even if he did break the law, the only thing the officers are entitled to get is his first and last name, which he provided. They only want to arrest him because he didn't give his date of birth.
Offering ID had no bearing on whether or not a crime had been committed. Who I am had no bearing on what had taken place or not. Think about it. Think about it.
You think about it. If a crime has been committed, how are we supposed to take action if we don't know who you are?
There's plenty of you here to knock me down to the ground. With your weapons and your tasers and all that. I'm unarmed in my pajamas. I'm not armed again. Ready for battle like two gentlemen. Okay? I'm a civilian today.
You understand why we're here right now?
I understand. I don't agree with that. I don't
You don't have to agree with it.
And I don't.
All you have to do is give me an interview.
Now that you've established everything you've established, what do we got next? You're going to put me in jail.
Yes, it's absolutely totally unnecessary.
Right, and it's your discretion to release me now that you've established that no crime has been committed.
With the attitude that you've
I'm 100% disabled, Iraq veteran, okay? I suffer from anxiety,
Let me tell you this.
okay?
It is against the law when an officer is investigating a crime and he asks for identification, you refuse to provide identification, it is a violation of law. Which means the crime has been committed and you can't go to jail.
You can release me now on your own discretion. You can and you should, clearly. I don't know why you wouldn't. I don't know why
I
you
don't know,
wouldn't.
maybe because of the attitude that
So you're being retaliatory. Is that what you're saying?
I'm placing you under arrest for the crime you committed.
And another police car has arrived.
Failure to identify. Okay. I'd like you to think about that. I'd like you to think about that. Your discretionary powers.
Maybe you should be thinking about it.
What do you want?
I already told you what I want, but you could have solved this a long
You
time
know
ago.
something, Keely?
This is just a pissing competition now with this cap.
I came up here to look at okay? To invest and purchase something up here. I'm just saying, I was coming up here on a fact-finding mission to relocate up here with my disabled daughter, okay? We're up here to look at property, and this is how it goes. No, I just thought I'd share that with you. If it means nothing to you, it means nothing to you. I'm in a lot of pain. I wonder if you could put the cuffs in the front. I don't know if the cuffs in the back are necessary. Okay, I have a number of injuries. I'm 100% service-connected disabled. I can document that for you. Okay, I'm on medication of various types that I do not have with me. All right, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm suffering from anxiety, pain in my wrist. I have numbness and neuropathy in my hands, in my arm, my leg, and my feet, sir. I suffer from anxiety. If I upset you earlier, if you want me to apologize for upsetting you earlier, I'm a disabled guy suffering from anxiety. I'm taking a wholesome medication. I have C-spine and lumbar injury. I have anxiety.
That's what you said to handcuffs. You okay there?
You really got to put another way. Well, for the citizen, for the civilian, and the single vet that came up here to visit on our vacation today.
Policies that have to be here.
All right, and now that we've established what we have, you still feel the need to be the whole time? I just wonder why you feel the need to be so absolutely aggressive on me.
Well, I wondered that if you'd given me your ID when I asked for it, you would already be down the road right
Taking
now.
ID before you looked at it was just an unwarm. But my birth certificate, you could have started with that. You run me with off my name.
I can't run you without your data birth.
I believe you can. And if you can't, I apologize. I felt comfortable giving you a piece of my last money and I gave it to you. Here's my ID and I gave you a piece of my ID. Back in your hand. Stop. And I'll explain.
I asked to identify. In order for us to identify you, you need your name and date of birth. You gave me a card purposely without the ID or without the date of birth. Am I right or am I wrong?
Record's wrong.
I don't care what your records say. I'm here to record.
Babe, babe,
I'm not going to release it.
babe.
Yes, sir, it is. So you got my item for these gentlemen get my item.
I have them, except for your driver's license.
Now we've established who I am and what I am, and I have the wants and warrants, and then I'm excuse me, you don't know that?
We've never seen it.
$3968. This is my password for my card. You have my card?
Yeah, it should be in here. 3968.
The cash back.
Okay.
3968.
All right, I'll write it down. Are you taking a picture of me?
Yep.
Okay, what? Why?
For my investigation.
For his investigation.
Chief's coming out. Okay. Just be a bench.
However, okay, when you approach with a large group of men, and I'm an alpha male, I'm military, okay? You asked me a question, I'm giving you an answer. I don't know if you agree with it, but you asked me a question, I'm trying to give a reasonable answer. Okay? If I popped off and was needlessly defensive, I'd be willing to apologize if you might be considered that you might be.
You want to hear a story? What happened yesterday? It was the same thing. It was a gentleman parked in front of Grape. And it was the same thing. Once I showed up, the windows were down, everything was good, there was adequate ventilation, the dog was in good health and spirits. I said, I got a plate number, I said, hey, I need your ID so I can write a little report on it. Boom, boom, boom. I was out of there in minutes. Down the road, I left.
Sure. That's all we had to do.
Yeah, that's all.
But as you recall, I did hand over a piece of ID that was a good and valid, nice piece of ID.
And I explained to you that I needed a date of birth to go along with it.
Well,
Whether you believe that or not.
well, maybe I don't need to be a hard ass. Maybe you don't need to be
It's
one
just
either.
a simple investigation. That's why we have to have that. That's all
But
it
if
is.
there's some ambiguities in the
Well,
law,
here's the thing. We are going to reciprocate the attitude and the conduct.
right, and I've cooled down, and maybe you can cool down. Okay?
Why not look cool?
I'm one guy, and you've
pretty
got
cool.
you got 4 or 5 guys here with weapons.
Okay,
I'm
you've
one
got
simple man.
2 police officers and 2 firefighters.
I'm coming up on my car, and wonder what the hell. It got my
Okay, then I
dander
explain.
up. It got my dander
And I
up.
explained to you why you did it.
Okay?
Did I not?
Right, but it wasn't clear to me why the situation was immediately resolving. It should have been escalating. It should have been resolved.
I totally agree with you. You should not have
I
had
should have
that.
been there long enough to see that there wasn't anything wrong
It
with it.
doesn't make any difference. We still
Okay.
have to write a report. We have to know who we are talking
Right,
to.
but it's my understanding I don't necessarily have to offer it since I wasn't actually driving, and I did offer another form of ID because I protect my rights. I don't want files written. I don't want new files. I have nothing on my files for over a decade. I don't even want the record of this call. I'm protective of my ID. That's all. Right?
Unfortunately,
That's all.
once we respond to a crime, it's the way it is. So this is Chief Miller. He's the chief of police here.
Afternoon, Chief.
Hello.
Looks like the chief wrote a phone number on the back of his hand and forgot to wash it off. I swear, these police officers in 2020 want to be gangsters so bad.
Thank you for coming on out.
Okay. I'm going to talk to my officer first, and then.
Chief, I apologize for causing you all any grief. I got a little flared up here.
Okay. All right. Well, then we'll get it taken care of. Let me talk to him for a second. I'll be right with you.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. As I was telling your partner, you came up here to look at property.
Oh. Cool.
You came up here to look at property to invest in this area,
Where do you live now?
nearby.
I think I've seen you someplace. I've seen you somewhere.
You ever been to Iraq?
I'm sorry?
Ever been to Iraq?
No, I haven't, but I worked with some friends that have.
Didn't know if you saw me there. I don't mean any disrespect.
No.
Okay,
No.
it's hot out.
It is.
I just marched up that hill. I see the cars. I'm not stupid, I get it. But when I got there, it should have been clear already that we were about to say, here's what happened.
Is wearing Daisy Dukes part of the requirement to be chief in Jerome, Arizona?
See you later. When it goes on to IDs and I want to know or else, I get a little bit defensive there because there's some ambiguities. I again assert that there should be RAS, reasonable articulable suspicion that could be articulated at that time that a crime had been committed. Now once you had seen that a crime had not been committed because you were ready to say that the dog was okay, therefore I was not required to ID. So technically my lawyer can rip you guys all apart. That's not what I want. I'd like to just be let go. Okay? That would be a good idea. And I was asked for ID, and I gave it. And then there was an immediate insistence upon requesting the date of birth, or else. And then we went right to or else. That's an escalation after it had already been established that the dog was okay. So, therefore, I'm in the right. And this is an ego problem with Kaylee. All right, Kaylee had a little bit of an ego too. If I had one and I'm willing to admit it, he should admit that he had a little bit too. Now we could stand down. No, he never would he? You guys never want to admit, right? I see you shake your head. See, I'm a citizen willing to admit when he makes a mistake. You know, maybe you blue line guys forget how to admit when you're wrong sometimes. Right, but the information had concluded. Who I was had no relevance to whether or not the dog was okay. The dog was already established to have been okay. So, right. So who I was had no relevance, and there was no investigation at that point. You guys were just looking to see if I had any warrants and any other reason to rouse me up. Right, but he volunteered to give it. That was a consensual interaction. No, not kind of. Read up in the statute of reasonable articulable suspicion. It's called RAS. In addition to PC, probable cause, it's called RAS. You give cameras on, I'll say it for you. Reasonable articulable suspicion of a crime having been committed. Now you guys had established that crime had not been committed. Once you established that the dog was okay. So you wanted to talk to me, and you're going to voluntarily ask me for more information to see if you could bag me on warrants, but I wasn't willing to play, and you cuffed me. That was an invasion of my Second and my Fourth Amendment right. You guys need to do your homework, and that's why this is on video, and I do have an attorney. Now, in addition, I've gone the extra step to apologize for my end of it. In addition.
All right. So I've talked to the officer that's involved. You did finally got your ID, right? Okay. Because it doesn't matter. There was a crime reported potentially. Okay, it's against the law to confine an animal in drone. Okay, so they were coming up here to look into that. Okay, you know you're required by law to provide ID to police officers. It's the law. Well, sir, the law. Now just listen to me. Okay. The officer has, okay, agreed that we'll let you off with a warrant. If you understand this. If you want to make a big to-do, then we'll just argue in front of the judge.
No, sir. No, sir. I think that's a reasonable resolution here in de-escalation. And I would appreciate that very much, and I'm grateful. Thanks for that.
Okay. So you understand, though. I need you to understand that that's the law says.
Yes, sir.
Okay. As long as you understand that, and like I say, Officer Lee is willing to let it go to just a warning. Okay. Which I think is pretty good, because if he said, no, I want to, I don't want to, I want to go to jail, then you go to jail. I support my officers, what they're doing on the street, you know what I mean? They're the ones that make those decisions.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we good?
Yes, sir. You got it.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and step out. You got it? And then what I would like is you just apologize to Officer Lee too. I think you said you did something.
Would like me to apologize to Officer Lee? I will apologize. Okay. I will do that in return for release.
Well, it's not. It's just, I think it's the right thing to do, because again, he has authority. You could end up in jail. Okay?
I still could end up in jail.
Well, you can end up in jail over what happened here. Right? And that's not good. Nobody wants to go to jail over this, right? So just in the future, remember, your animal in the car, that car can overheat as little as 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's why we're called here. It's not, we didn't come patrol in the parking lot, you know what I mean, to look and see if there was somebody left their dogs in there. Somebody called us. Yes, you know what I mean? So it's not like, we got other things to do. Yes, but this town is very concerned about its animals. Okay? They don't like to see him left in car. People in general, if they stop, walk through this parking lot, see an animal in a vehicle, they will call the police. Yes. I've been here 21 years as the chief, and I can tell you that will happen. So in the future, just remember that.
I appreciate it.
Okay?
Hey, Lee, I'll put my hand out to you, sir. I'm sorry I upset you. If I scared you or upset you, I came out the tour press, I apologize.
Okay. You did that. I just want you to understand the reason why, when we walked out when we first started this, my full intention at that point was just to explain the reason why we were there for the dog, let you know that you can't just leave the dog in the car, identify you so we could write a report and you'd have been down the road. That's all it would take.
Okay, so don't make it, what we want you to understand is we're not bad guys. Don't push us to where we have to then, because here's my thing, if you want to argue with me, I'm not going to argue. You can argue with the judge, you know what I mean? The judge makes the final decision. We can deal with things on a reasonable level here on the street. But if we can't meet, then you know who my referee is, right? The judge.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for your question.
Thank you. You got all the information you need.
That's everything? Yeah, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay?
Good day.
All right. You have a good day.
Going over to Job Pro. The link will be in the description. Tell him Disorderly Product News sent you. Show him some support. That's an Iraq war veteran. Salute that man. Anyways, go in the comments section and write what you believe to be correct. Who was right, who was wrong? Looks like IDing in Arizona is only your first and last name. Anyways, stop an ID state. This always gets confused. People always say, this isn't a stop an ID state when a police officer comes and asks them for an ID. There is no such thing as a stop an ID state in the sense that a police officer can just jump out and ask you for your ID. The lowest threshold in any of the 50 states is reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime being committed, commission of, or about to be committed. That's the lowest threshold. That's a stop an ID state. They have to have reasonable, articulable suspicion. A non-stop an ID state, they would have to have probable cause, which is higher than reasonable suspicion. But probable cause is the same threshold you need to arrest somebody, so you'll be going to jail anyways. It doesn't matter. Stop and ID just means that they have a reasonable suspicion that you committed a crime. They stop and ID you. They do their investigation. They find out that they don't have enough evidence to take you to court, or they find out you didn't do anything wrong in the first place. So you can be stopped and ID'd and then released. Non-stop and ID states probable cause is a threshold they need to meet, but probable cause is the same threshold they need to meet to arrest you. So you're probably going to jail anyways. My name is Disorderly Product News. I hope we cleared a couple things up there. I wish you and yours a very safe, happy, and healthy rest of the work week. Good night.